Welcome to EFT MBA Mastering Business Acumen with the help of EFT business experts. Learn the marketing, mindset, and skill set you need to create the EFT coaching practice of your dreams. Visit www.eftmba.com for more information. And now, here's the EFT training team that embodies the art and science of EFT. Alina Frank and Dr. Craig Weiner.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back.
Hi, everybody.
We are so excited about this show. This show is we love the material. We see this. It has practical applications for where you are now and where you want to be in your EFT business, and so we're happy to be giving this to you. I want to give you your the phone number if you want to call in. This is a live show. It's 347-215-6833. That's 347-215-6833. And if you hit 1, we'll know that you're in the queue. You've raised your hand, and we'll put you on the air. We'll answer any question that you have about this topic. So, what are we talking about today? Let me start with a quote from the...
We're talking about confidence. We're talking about competence. We're talking about which one's more important as a coach. I think it's a great question.
Yeah, I want to start off with a quote here from the Dalai Lama.
Okay.
With
Perfect.
realization of one's own potential and self-confidence in one's ability, one can build a better world. And that's what we're all about. We're about changing the world and making money doing EFT. And if you but there are some challenges with this confidence versus competence. And so whose opinion are you more interested in listening to? A professional who is more confident in what they are saying about their skills, or one who has a greater skill set, right, a skill level, but comes across as less confident? You may be surprised at what the research shows, and we're going to be talking about the research. So most importantly is how this choice relates to your potential clients. And we have some great studies that have come out. The Dunning-Kruger Effect describes, a bias in which less skilled individuals aren't really thinking that they're less skilled. So we're going to talk about different scenarios, and we're going to give you all kinds of suggestions on how to reverse some of these challenges that you may be facing.
The thing that I like to make it personal. So in other words, I think that listeners are listening through different sets of hearing and watching. One of them is that I think it's important to look at is how do you, the person listening right now, how do you, when you're watching people, when you're checking out, whether it's a teacher for meditation or yoga, or you're looking for a new physician, or whatever it is that you're looking for, and you're looking for somebody with a level of expertise, what are you looking for? What inspires you to take action? What inspires you to consider, wow, I want to work with that person? So you want to take that same set of eyeglasses, and you then want to put those on your potential clients. And so we're going to be looking at different scenarios here, but it's the same perspective. What you're looking at is what they're looking at, and we want to use that both ways today. So what scenario would you like to start off with first, Alina?
Yeah, so something that we observed very, very clearly in the last month in a practice day that we had and in a training that we had for our students. So practitioner 1 is the practitioner that lacks confidence but is very competent. Lacks confidence but is very competent. So what we observed in these practitioners that we're basing this scenario on is they were asking questions. They were seeming to be stuck. They seemed to not be clear. They were saying that they were nervous about being observed and that they weren't going to be very good and all of this stuff. And what we noticed when we observed them working was, holy cow, these guys are great. So what happens in that scenario is that the practitioner If this fits you, that you lack confidence, but you're very competent, you might not know that you don't know that you're competent. So what will likely happen is you undervalue your services. You charge way too little. You always give people a lot more time than you may have scheduled them for, right? These are the practitioners that always, you book a 60-minute session and they give you 90 minutes. This practitioner won't be able to sell himself or herself. Practitioner that lacks confidence will not approach new outlets to promote their business, whether it's building an in-person referral network, speaking to people that they already know. They just won't do it. If you notice that the only way that you promote yourself is by sticking up some flyers or pinning up some business cards at your local neighborhood health food store, then I might be talking to you. It feels safer to do that than to set up meetings with key referral players. So what do you want to say about this?
Yeah, so what I wanted to add to that was there's a lot to that, and I can remember it so clearly, that disconnect between, as a neutral observer, watching these practitioners that were quite skillful and masterful, but in their viewing of themselves, there was a big disconnect in that, and they were just undervaluating their skill set. And so different issues come into play here. And a big one is regarding self-esteem. In other words, there is a sense of I'm not good enough, I don't know enough. We certainly look at huge tappable issues that come from the past that we've been told, that people have been told that they're not good enough at whatever, and then it parlays into many different scenarios in their lives, right? So when we look at a person's ability to have self-love, as in the topic statements, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, for example, is a wonderful one that if somebody is lacking that self-love, that self-esteem, then they're also going to lack that self-confidence, which is, think of self-confidence as self-esteem but in a particular ability or in a particular skill set or a particular scenario. So, somebody can have self-confidence in one area of their life but not in another. So when we work with these, when we're looking at these kinds of practitioners, we're looking at what are the underlying issues, tabletops, belief systems, worldviews that have affected their self-esteem that are now filtering through in the specific of how do I feel about myself as an EFT practitioner. Right.
And so talk about the bias that there's an article that we have on our EFT tapping training site, and it's all about the different biases, like almost 100 different biases that come into play just by very nature of being human. And there's one called the worse than average effect.
I love that title. The worse than average effect. That's when you are good at something. And even though you're good at it, you tend to assume that others are just as good at it, and you may not even be as good as them at it, despite your skills, your abilities. This is the type of one where we underestimate our shining. We underestimate what we're good at, and it's really helpful to have objective third-party opinion about those skills. We underestimate how good we are at something because we're so used to it, and it's become so familiar to us, and it's so a part of who we are that we assume that it's that way for everybody else when it's not.
Right.
So like in our EFT MBA program, we have people, please go to 3 other people to describe your traits and qualities so that you can hear it through another point of view, because you're so used to you being you that you don't even see what your skills and your shinings are anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very enlightening. There's we posted a video on moms talking. It's up on our Facebook page. It's a video of interviews with moms talking about themselves as mothers, and then the next segment was those the children of these moms sitting there talking about their mothers and how wonderful, and the moms were all like, oh, I don't do enough, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not a good mother because of this, that, and the other thing. And their kids were like, my mom is the best. And it was so sweet, because we have this bias, worse than average. And when you take a training from someone, and trainers have been doing this for quite a long time, and there's a certain level of expertise, and our students, some of them will naturally say, oh, I can't do it, I can't do it as well as she does, so I'm just, and then they shut down. And so all of this,
not only I can't do the tapping as well, but I couldn't possibly do the promotion as well, or
sure,
the marketing as well, or the video as well, or any of those other scenarios too.
Yeah, comparing themselves to us when we've been at this for quite a long time. So I want to say something else about confidence, and that is that it is an energetic. Confidence is an energy. It's an expectation of a favorable outcome. And for instance, you're in the healing arts. If you don't hold space for miracles to happen, then they will never happen. And so that's part of our my holographic EFT thing, which is just you need to hold that space of great transformation happening for your clients, and work on. And definitely, all of this is very tappable. And like Craig said, this is a core issue of feeling a lack of confidence, especially when you have somebody evaluating you, telling you, you know what, you're awesome, you're great. Has nothing to do with your competence. Right?
Yes. Yep.
All right.
Yep. Right on. What would be practitioner scenario number 2?
Practitioner scenario number 2 that we come across is, this is someone who has confidence, but unfortunately lacks competence. Now, this often shows up as lack of thorough testing. And I see this with new coaches, but also with, I'm out there in a lot of different EFT circles. And one of my criticisms of the EFT cousins is that they don't teach thorough testing. And so I see some people saying out there, especially when they're relatively new, oh, I get rid of everything in a session or 2. Now, that simply is not correct. They aren't doing the thorough testing. And testing your work and having your clients see that there's more to do actually grows your business. And it actually instills more confidence in you when you are more competent. So being overly confident and not competent enough also leads, and this is really could be the downfall of good or potentially good practitioners, is that they then take on clients that have big giant red flags and they go where they shouldn't go. Right?
Yeah. No, very true. And this certainly is not specific to EFT alone. And,
No.
When we start to speak about some of the biases, there are several of them that are involved in this one. One of them we all know personally, but maybe didn't know had a name, was the egocentric bias. And that's basically the general rule that we think we know better, right? We think we know
right.
best, that our belief in the way that we're doing it is right. Okay?
Right.
I don't know anybody that doesn't know that bias.
Right.
And in psychological circles, one of the remedies for that is what's called perspective taking. Basically, which would be a non-religious perspective taking of what would Jesus do, but what would another person like me in this scenario do? So it helps us to look outside our own biases and mindset to what would other people in this scenario do differently. How do I gain another perspective? How do I get some objective feedback as to how things are happening here? And the biggest one that we have to look at with this is what's called the DK, or the Dunning-Kruger Effect. And this is the effect. The poorest performers are often the least aware of their own lack of competence.
Wait, can you say that again? Say that again.
Yeah, so the Dunning-Kruger effect, the DK effect, is that the poorest performers on a test or a skill are the ones that are the least aware of their own lack of competence. and often, therefore, the most confident. I mean, they've done tons of studies of this, of medical students and lab techs and clerks in all kinds of fields. And what they find is that poor, skillful performers fail to learn from their own mistakes and are not open to the feedback as well. So this is hard. This is where we have to learn discernment, that overconfidence is not necessarily directly tied to overcompetence, right? People can be, and we think of that as like the typical salesman, right? That's just blowing steam, that's saying how good they are when it's not necessarily true.
Right, and they don't know it.
That in mind.
And they don't know it.
They don't know. Exactly.
Right.
Hard one to work with.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Basically, what you find is that clients end up leaving because they're not getting the results. They don't feel like they can give.
You.
Right, exactly. So this might be, and I hate to say this, but if you tend to have people and clients that leave without a forwarding address, or reschedule and then forget to reschedule, and then you have a higher percentage than you think of people leaving your practice without communicating reasons, it's that they don't feel like they can give you the feedback about what's working or not working, and so the easier way that's less difficult for them is to just walk using the law of 2 feet, right?
Right, exactly. And so if you don't know that you don't know, then how are you getting objective feedback? Are you working with practitioners who are better than you so that you can get more experience and you can learn and expand? Are you getting objective feedback from a mentor who is actually evaluating your work? And, and so if you want to grow and stretch and expand and get better and better at what you do and have a full-time waitlist practice, then you're going to have to get over that bias and tap on your fears. I had to get over my fear of actually going out, and so I've been doing this for like going on 10 years now, and I've been writing my own marketing copy on my sites, and I've had one of my websites for about that long, and so Craig and I have worked with business mentors, and last year I became a certified holistic practice marketer. So, I'm thinking, I know about copywriting and I know all of this. But I asked myself this question: what am I not seeing? Because of my bias, what am I not seeing? So I hired an ace copywriter to review something that I had done. And I got the review and my ego hurt. Like I was thinking, oh, wow, look at all this criticism. But I tapped on it and I let it go, and I was able to learn and get it. I really got the things that I had, that it wasn't about making mistakes. It was that I didn't know, and now I do. So it's really important to address this Dunning-Kruger effect for sure.
And, I just want to emphasize for practitioners that are out there and they're getting good results and they're seeing that they're making a difference. The question still applies: how do you know what you don't know you don't know? How do you increase your level of skillfulness by trading with somebody that you consider of equal or higher mastery? How do you get objective feedback? Because you can't expect from the client the same level of honest feedback, because there is a power relationship there.
Exactly.
They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to give you criticism because then you might treat them differently or less or whatever. And so the question is, how, as a practitioner, are you getting honest feedback to improve your skill set? It's a great question and a really important one.
And Craig, I go to me, one of the things about this scenario is do your testing and tap on yourself for your fear of thorough testing. And Craig knows, because he's observed me in trainings where I just don't let go. I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm not going to let it go. And if I see the person that I'm working with in a demo, try to kind of appease me or try to get off the love seat, hot seat, and and they're not done. And I'm testing and I'm testing and I'm testing because I know there's more work to do. I'm not doing it because I'm doing it for a variety of reasons. One, to show my trainees, what happens when you test. There's more to do. But also because I want my clients and the demo to realize, wow, EFT does collapse issues thoroughly and effectively and permanently. And then that makes them feel like, wow, I've got a tool here that can transform everything if it knocked this out completely. So I just remember you like to joke me on that, because there are people that are like, I'm good. And Craig's shaking his head, no, Alina's not going to let them get away with that.
Yeah. No, it's
so
true.
Thoroughly test your work.
And it gives them confidence. Yeah.
Yes.
Practitioner 3, how about we go to the practitioner that both lacks confidence and competence?
Ouch.
That one, that's hard to hear,
yeah.
But I think when we're honestly reflecting, maybe we don't have none of it, but we need more, right? Let's put it that way. We could use some more confidence in our skills, and we could use more skills. I think that's better put. And so, the first step, this is really a chicken or an egg question, because on one hand, that we want to increase our skill set and our competence. Why? Number one, because that's what we do, and that's why we're practitioners. And if we're not trying to increase our skills, then get the heck out of Dodge. But secondly is the more skills that you have, the greater your confidence is going to happen. The more comfortable you're going to feel, the greater amount of experiences you're going to see of successfully working with people and tapping through difficult issues. And so as we increase our competence, we're going to start to increase our confidence. That being said, we also know that we also need to increase our confidence and belief in ourselves to increase our competence. So many studies have shown where they've taken children in school situations, and what they have done is they've simply increased repeatedly by using affirmations and ways to influence children to show them that they are good enough to learn, that they can learn science, even if their experience shows them not to, that they're smart and they're intelligent and they have the ability. So the ability to increase one's belief in oneself through, maybe tapping.
Yeah.
From tapping through past experiences and when you learned that you weren't smart enough or that you couldn't learn science or whatever those experiences are, that working through those negative beliefs will result in a change and ability to assimilate new information and will increase skill and competence. So it's a double-edged sword. You have to work both sides. And some people will just say, well, you know what, I'm just not a confident person. It's just not me. I've never really been that way. And I did some research that was very interesting. They over in London at King's College, they did studies on 3,700 pairs of twins. And what they found was that children's self-confidence is heavily influenced by genetic heredity. They also found, so that's one, now I don't want you to use that as an excuse like, oh, I just have a gene that gives me less confidence, and we'll call that the Eeyore syndrome, right? So I don't want you pulling that out, but just know that it's a multifactorial issue. But that being said, is they found that the children with a greater belief in their own abilities performed better at school even if they were less intelligent and had lower IQ. So this is where we're really looking at both the, nature versus nurture. We're looking at which comes first. Who knows? You got to work on both, right?
And I also want to say that all of this discussion goes for working both your EFT skills and the work that you do in a session, and it also applies to your business. Business. So lack of confidence and competence we're talking about also in your business acumen. So, got that down, and let's go for what we're striving for, and that is practitioner number 4. Practitioner number 4 has gained confidence because she has done a lot of tapping on herself and on her own issues with other coaches, with swap partners. She's invested in guidance in the areas where she has weaknesses, such as marketing or technology, or in getting trained. by a good trainer. And she speaks about what she does with authority and conviction. She's both confident and competent and has scores of clients as a result. Yes?
Isn't that what we're all aiming for and somewhere in the process of, right?
Absolutely.
So, that practitioner also is able to evaluate themselves honestly and see and evaluate both his or her strengths or weaknesses,
right.
is getting feedback from neutral partners or mentors or friends or colleagues that is able to help them see the things that they don't see, whether it's learning, like you said, whether it's hiring people, whether it's learning to get trained, whatever that is, that this is an evolving practice, this practitioner number 4, right? And that is what we all continue to aim to, and it's really, for me personally, what I aim to be as the mirror or reflection for the practitioners and coaches that I work with, is to be able to help them develop within themselves their own competence, their own self-confidence, their self-worth, with regard to their EFT practice, all of those pieces, and give them the skills and mastery they need to be able to take it out into the world and impact change and change the world and make a lot of money doing it. And all of that, is that whole cycle that we're looking to support here.
Yeah. So when you're looking at your practice and you see that you are not having the percentage of returns, or you're analyzing your calendar and seeing that you have great big holes where you should be working with people and you're not booked out, you're not scheduling months and weeks or months in advance. Ask yourself, what area do I need to be working on? My confidence or my competence, or is it a little bit of both, which is most of the time we've got some of that going on. When we go over core issues in our trainings and core beliefs, we get down to a huge list, and then the last one I say, if you're living on planet Earth and you're human, you've got a little bit of that one, which is I'm not good enough. So everyone has that to some degree or another. Continue to work on it, tap through those blocks, and tap on. You could even start with, even though I have no idea whether it's confidence or competence, but I'm willing to see, I'm willing now to take a good hard look at it. You'll get some answers. Super. I'm glad we had this discussion.
And we did it in a half hour. We're really striving because we know everybody's limited on time and they're squeezing it in between clients and work. So we're doing our best to keep it to a half hour, but action packet full of information that's useful for you. And we just want to say thank you. The listenership is just growing. We're very, very excited by that. Anything else you want to announce before we get off the air, Alina?
No, we're going to be in New York later this month in November. We're going to do a Money Mastery EFT workshop that's filling up, and it counts towards a second level 2 EFT Universe certification. We are also going to be accepting students for the EFT MBA program just for a few more weeks. So if you're interested and want to get a free 15-minute laser coaching evaluation on your business, you can fill that out, even if we'll do that complimentary whether you decide to do the program or not. And we've got some amazing people in there who are just rocking and rolling. I'm so happy and so proud of the work they're already doing in there.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so thank you very much, and remember to
next time. Our next show.
What?
You forgot
What's our
to
next show?
Our next show. So our next show is, how many EFT practitioners are out there in their community giving public presentations, right? They're giving talks to local groups, to their social groups, to their.
Well, if they're not, they should be.
Exactly. Well, guess what we're going to talk about next time?
Aha!
How to design and create that and work on that issue for public presentations. So very excited about that.
All right. Thank you.
We will see you at the next show. Bye, everybody. Keep on tapping.
Bye.